It is Monday, June the 3rd, 2024. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we are now convened for our second budget workshop. And first on the docket today is the 198 District Court.
Good morning.
You're the 216.
Yes, sir, I am. I'm going to present for both this morning.
Very, very good.
All right, good morning, Commissioners.
And that's going to be tab 436 in your notebooks. It's for 190. And 198 is, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Again, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Pat Patillo. I'm the 216th Judicial District Court Judge and the local administrative district judge. And I'll be presenting the budget workshop figures and facts for both the 198 this morning. Judge McGuire is upstairs, but he's presiding over a 12-page criminal docket today. And then for the 216th. And then as well, following that, the specialty court. Got some facts and figures for you there as well.
And Judge, let me just interrupt.
Yes, sir.
It'll be tab 435 for the 216, 437 for the special court, and 436 for the 198.
All right, with regard to the 198's budget, it's really not a whole lot different. Judge McGuire and again with our auditor has gone through everything, and they have made some adjustments. He does anticipate a few increases in several categories, but it's, in my view, really not a very significant change. Same with mine, if I kind of want to lump them together. I did have a question for the auditor when we looked at some of her worksheets, and there was a difference. The 198's budget is a bit higher than the 216's budget, but that is because, and I think I can explain, you might recall both judicial districts are multi-county judicial districts, and so Kerr County is sharing these court expenses with, in the 198th situation, with Bandera County, and in the 216th with Gillespie County. And there's approximately about a $43,000 difference in the two budgets. With regard, and the categories are in personnel expenses, because those are allocated on the populations of the counties. It's higher in the 198th due to Bandera County having a smaller population than Gillespie County, so it's kind of a backward situation. So Kerr County's share, if you will, of the 198th is higher than it is Bandera's vis-a-vis Kerr County and Gillespie County. But I confuse you adequately on that point. Okay. And then with court-appointed services and interpreters, the difference there is about $15,000 between the two courts, and basically Judge McGuire felt, due to the types of cases that he's expecting to hear next year, he thought there would be an increase in court-appointed services and interpreters. And court-appointed services are experts. You may know that the accused defendant has the right to court-appointed experts if they can demonstrate indigence. Even if they've been able to financially hire a lawyer and they don't have a court-appointed lawyer, but they can demonstrate indigence in the retaining of expert witnesses, they're entitled to that under a Supreme Court case, and so the county will have to pay for that in some way. With regard to court-appointed attorneys, I'll report, and I guess they'll have TIDC or the PDO's office will have a different report to you at some other time. I'm very pleased. I believe Judge McGuire is very pleased with the performance of the Public Defender's Office. I think they've been a real asset by and large. One frustrating thing is as they get almost all of the appointments of indigent defendants, they are increasingly having a conflict of interest. So it's like a law firm. They are a law firm, and they can't really build what we call a Chinese wall. Let's say Commissioner Paces is a PDO and Commissioner Overby is a PDO. And their clients are co-defendants, even if they pledge not to discuss the case back and forth, it just can't be done. And so the PDO frequently sends back or rejects appointments claiming a conflict of interest. And I have gotten after them a little bit, and I've asked for a little more detail in their motions to withdraw based upon a conflict. I need, what is the conflict? To explain it a little better to me, and they've been able to do so adequately. But I've encouraged them to give a little more specificity without revealing any attorney-client information and stuff like that. So that's going to continue because it's a historical thing as well. Your client list grows and grows and grows every week and month. And so if they represented somebody a year ago and then they're back, but they have a conflict, it could be a problem. And then there was a little difference in the two courts and the court reporter expenses because the 2/16 pays for Ms. Middleton, my reporter's travel to Kerrville. Other than that, I think you'll see the expenses are pretty flat compared to last year, but I'll try to answer any questions that you may have.
Do you see that to continue to be a problem and get worse and worse on, basically you're going to have to increase yours and court-appointed attorney budget?
Yes, sir.
It seems like it's going to be a failing prophecy going forward.
I see the conundrum, and I have some concern for that. I honestly do. There's as well just to add sort of concern to it all. There was a paper that the state bar committee put out last summer. That is, I forgot the title, but it's guidance on court-appointed cases, guidance on attorney's fees, fines, and court costs. And they're essentially saying that once I've made a decision based upon their application for court-appointed counsel, by the way, how that works is they get arrested, they go to jail, they wrap their tin cup on the bars or whatever, and they say, hey, jailer, I want to apply for court-appointed counsel, and they give them a printed form, and they fill it out, and there's an affidavit of indigence, and they have to fill that out, accounting for all their income and all their outgo and how many members are in their family that they're responsible for, and then that gets forwarded to one of the courts, Judge Harris, Judge McGuire, or me, depending on the court it's going to be in, and using the 2023, at this point, U.S. federal poverty guidelines, depending on how many family members, it's a grid, there's an amount, and if they make less than that amount, then they're deemed indigent, and it's a mathematical formula, and if they're indigent, then we appoint counsel and we appoint the PDO, and then only if the PDO says, oh, we have a conflict, do we have to go to what we used to have, the list or the wheel of private local attorneys who are willing to do court-appointed work at a cut rate. It's like $70 an hour. It's not very great. And so yes, I've been concerned about their conflicts increasing. At the same time, just to warn you, the list of local attorneys who are willing and able and frankly capable and competent to handle felony, because we do felonies in the district courts, felony criminal matters is getting shorter and smaller. So we've got I've got a capital case in Gillespie County, and so counsel needs to be appointed right away as soon as the adversarial proceedings begin. And so we have insurance for that, as well as Kerr County does, but the state hasn't made their decision yet whether they're going to seek the death penalty or not. But the accused needs an attorney now. And so I've called Mr. Stedman. He's removed himself years and years ago off the list. He's highly successful, very experienced criminal defense attorney who is capital approved. You have to actually be on a special list to be capital approved. And I've begged him essentially, would you mind please assisting the court in taking this case? And he's agreed to do so. The state typically has up to 90 days, actually longer. There's no statute of limitations, but if there's no indictment procured within 90 days, then the accused has the right to a personal recognizance bond, which would be a disaster in a capital case. And until the state indicts the matter, then if there's going to seek the death penalty, then at that time the insurance is kicked in. He'll be off. He's entitled to fees for the time he spent and what he's earned up to that point, but et cetera. So yes, Commissioner, I think there's an issue going forward, and I'm concerned about it. And I didn't finish my thought. So the presumption of indigence, once I've found it and appoint counsel, it continues. And so I've had some professional and proper give and take with the PDO's office where at the end of, say, a plea agreement or the conclusion or disposition of the case, they're asking that I waive the court costs and the attorney's fees. We do assess attorney's fees even for the PDO, and it's a set rate in an order because of the finding of indigence. And so my argument with the PDO has been, well, you guys, I think you should understand this. My understanding is that, when y'all approved it, and I'm glad you did, but TIDC came in with a descending grant over, I think, about 5 years. And if you're asking me to waive these fees, you're going to work yourself out of a job because the counties are going to have to pick up a greater or increasing portion of the costs of the PDO. if there's nothing coming back into the general revenue fund on these attorney's fees. By the way, I'll digress again. Terry Lyles, I want to give her a plug. She's collected nearly $1 million in court costs for y'all. She's knocking it out of the park. Her goal was $1 million. I think she did 816,000. I don't remember. It was a lot. And Gillespie County's quite jealous, and they've kicked up their collections, court collections department, and they're getting a little more aggressive about that in Gillespie, just to try to match what's going on here. So to that point, yes, sir. You're out of time. I'm out of time.
When you talk about the insurance for these capital cases,
Yes, sir.
is that the Lubbock program?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We pay for that. A lot of people don't know we do that.
Yes, and wisely. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
And so Clay's filling in that interim until they have the indictment and decide what they're going to do.
Yes, sir. And to be clear, that is a Gillespie case, but it could have easily been or will maybe in the future her case as well.
Right.
Good information. Thank you.
Thank you. No questions then on the 198 or 216? Can I give a plug for my specialty court?
Yes.
Okay. Just for those of you.
37.
Okay. Thank you. So our Kerr County Specialty Court, this got established in February of 2019. This was the brainchild of our our probation officer, Ms. Bodie, who's present this morning, and to support this, and Judge Emerson. And I have been Judge Emerson's successor in the specialty court. We sometimes also call it the drug court. This is a model court, and I had to go. Judge Emerson before me did, but I went. Ms. Bodie insisted, and it was very valuable. But I had to go get trained in how to do this. It's really a whole different mindset, and it's based upon empirical, proven methods. And it's essentially sort of a super intensive type of community supervision or probation. All right, it takes, if someone's admitted, they have to apply, and if they're admitted, then it takes about a time span of 1 to 2 years to get them to graduation. And when they're upon graduation, they're still on probation, and it just goes back to like a regular probation or supervision. To date, since inception in 2019, we've had 13 graduate. We have 2 pending graduations. All of these are prison diversions. So probation is a prison diversion. We have a recidivism rate of 6%. That number's skewed. That is super low. That's one person, one graduate, who has gotten in trouble again out of the 13 with two pending. So we have 13 currently in the program, 2 pending graduation. 2 are starting with us. So they've been admitted, but they're away in state-mandated treatment, and 1 is in state jail awaiting entry. The county funds the support for this treatment court or specialty court, and what it's funding is 2 things mostly. There's a monitoring app that all the participants have on their phone, and they have to check in all the time, daily. The supervising officers can see where they're at. It's a location, geolocation kind of service thing. And she can look at that 24/7 to her heart's desire. And it helps offset the probation department's costs of the random urine analysis fees. They get a color code assigned, and they have to call and check, and if their code's up, they have to get down there within a time frame and pee in the cup, to be candid. That's what they're doing. All the team members, and I want to thank and tell you who they are, all the team members, myself included, are donating all of their time to the program, or some of their time, but all the time they give to the program as a donation. And they participate as a collateral duty to what they're doing. So I'm the judge, and when I can't make it, maybe I'm in a jury trial, and we go later into the evening or something, Judge McGuire has filled in, Judge Emerson has come back and filled in, Judge Harris has filled in, and it's a delightful experience. They gladly do this. I'm not having to twist their arms. Mr. Stephen Harpold is the 198 district attorney, so it's an interdisciplinary team, and these are the people on the team. He's the DA, and he represents the state on this team. Lucy Pearson is a defense attorney, is among many of the hats she wears, and she's the team's defense attorney. Ms. Bodie is the Community Supervision and Corrections Department chief here. She is the court coordinator and acts as the specialty courts court coordinator. Her deputy, Chief Deputy Director, Elena Flores, acts as the Deputy Director and Supervising Officer, and she spends about 40 to 50% of her daily time on supervising our participants. That's the super intensive part of it. they're really under the microscope and they're forced, in essence, to perform versus the once a month check-in in the probation department. We have a defense attorney, well, Ms. Pearson's the defense attorney, I think I said that. We have a law enforcement officer. It used to be Luke Flores, and Greg Longenbach, investigator Longenbach, is taking his spot. I got to tell you, these guys are awesome because this is antithetical, if you will, to law enforcement. You know, law enforcement, let's go get them, and you know, I'll catch them and clean them and put them under the jail. That's where they belong. Not even in the jail, but under the jail. And so they get ribbed by their colleagues about being touchy-feely and bleeding heart and all this kind of stuff. But until you go to the training and they show you how empirically this is working nationally, it really will change their mind. But Longenbach is new to the team, and he went to the training, and he also just went to homicide school, which is kind of an interesting homicide school. Did you learn? Yeah. Anyways, and then we have a treatment provider, and this is part of as well what the county is funding. And our treatment provider is Creekview Counseling, and it's Chad Warner. And he bills for the treatment services only, but all of his time that he spends in court and staffing, it's every other Tuesday night. We meet and staff this with these team members I've just mentioned at 5 o'clock, and then we begin court about 5:30 until 6:30 or 7. And so all the staffing time and everything else. So also we have little, I'll call them trinkets or treasure chests. It's an incentives and sanctions-based program. You mess up, you get sanctioned. You do good, you get an incentive. And some of the incentives, we have a plastic box, we call it the treasure chest, and it's got stuff in it like a coffee mug or a calendar or a bungee cord, junk basically. But this is the Ms. Flores and Ms. Bodie use their own money to put in that thing. And the participants spin a wheel. I have to tell you, you need to come to, when's our graduation, our next graduation?
The 26th,
5th or 6th, that Tuesday. I invite all of you to come to the graduation. It is, you will hear how this is life-changing to these people. When they meet a goal, when they phase up, they get a certificate and a handshake. This is, for some of these folks who haven't even finished high school, maybe, this is maybe the first attaboy they've ever had from anybody. It's really something to see. So at any rate, it's a very modest budget, and I appreciate the county for funding the specialty court, and I ask that you please do so again. And there's a budget that we've proposed. It's very, very modest, and I think with this low, almost non-existent recidivism rate, I think money's very well spent. And I'll try to answer any questions that you may have.
Any other questions? Mm-hmm. Good. Well, Judge, thank you for coming and explaining all this stuff. Most people don't understand exactly what you do.
I get that. I understand that. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Just let us know what time that graduation ceremony starts.
Yes, sir. I can do that now.
we'll get you an invitation.
Okay.
But, yeah. Graduation typically starts at 6 o'clock on the 25th, but we'll get you an invitation.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, if I may be excused.
You may.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, County Court of Law, tab 427.
She does not have an increase. I don't have a list if she's one of the ones that.
And she didn't plan to attend because she was in
Okay.
that parameter.
We'll move on. Then we'll go to, we're not going to do tab 428 either, right?
Yeah, either way. The treasurer is also in that group and doesn't plan to attend.
Okay. Well, I miss seeing them, but I'm glad they kept the budget in check. Unclaimed capital credits, on 49. 49.
Judge, the unclaimed capital credits is where we put the money in that we received from the state. Y'all just approved us going out for that grant. I believe at the last Commissioners Court meeting, we just send a letter and they send it to us. We use the proceeds of that to fund the Economic Development Corporation. And that is Fund 49 if y'all are looking for it in your books.
And that revenue, it's designated kind of certain areas that it can be used, correct?
Correct.
But it
In
can't be used other places.
Yes, and that's why we use it for the economic development.
Very good. Thank you. Shriner Road Trust?
Yes, this is a trust that was set up for the
Fund
benefit.
71?
171.
Fund 71.
Fund 71?
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
This originally started as a trust for precincts 1 and 4 to spend for their road districts. Recently, we've been working really hard on increasing the corpus back to the $175,000 that were given to us. We are above that right now, thanks to interest rates, and it's no longer as a trust. Kerr County is keeping this in-house now and providing all the investment support.
Very good. Okay, moving on.
Is there any of the rest of y'all missing the sheet that Jody made up with the numbers and stuff?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's attached, it should be attached to your agenda, the second page.
No, no. I had one before.
No?
Right there.
You wanna make him?
Here it is.
You got it.
It's on the June 6th.
Well, there's another one
What's
for
the
June
June 6th is
6th.
different?
Yeah, the June 6th is different, so, but your June 3rd should have it attached.
I don't have it.
I don't think you have
I don't think it is.
it. It's probably
Oh,
states.
no, it is, yeah.
How many copies do I need?
One.
Just one?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a handwritten list that
Yeah.
auditors make you.
It's cheap sheet.
Jody,
It's helpful.
Jody took it upon herself to make these up.
Oh, it's very handy.
Yeah.
So we all have to use that at least. We know where we're going.
Exactly.
I had script this morning. The dollar.
Okay.
We're keeping you in suspense, ladies. We're gonna do the county clerk, that is tab 403.
That's for me.
Okay, county clerk.
I've got it.
I'm not sure, you'll have to help me along here.
I think we're all there.
This is your first time to do this.
Yes, sir.
Not many of us like.
Well, my first glance at it, we just look at the current budget versus requested budget, it's up about 120,000. So I'm asking why?
New hire.
There's the new hire that, we received a letter from the district clerk that she wants to send the civil county court of law back down to us. And so I'm requesting 2 more employees to fill that position, does that job in that. Something I did fail not to put in here is, this is the roll-up for the employees, but we'll need desks, computers, phones, and all that also.
Will that come out of the other budget?
So exactly that, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Once a day.
And I'm not sure what the caseload is on, if 2 employees can't handle it, or if it needs to be more employees. I have no idea at this time.
But your plan is to add 2.
Yes, sir. And while I would like to, I have a part-time position that I would like to make full-time. So I guess it's an actual 3 if the work doesn't come down from the district clerk's office, then I only would like one new employee to make the part-time a full-time position.
So you've got a part-time, you want to make it full-time.
Correct, yes,
You
sir.
want that regardless of what's decided.
Yes,
about,
sir, that is
county
correct.
law.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't take responsibilities for the filing for the county court of law, you'll need 2 additional employees.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. Any questions from Ms. Hoffman?
I mean, it's really more that talking to the district clerk. I mean, we talked to the, not what does the district clerk, but I have a question really, how many,
I can do mine first if you, and then have her go after me, because it'll clarify a lot of stuff.
That would help.
that would help, I could do that, let the district clerk go first.
Okay.
And then we can,
And the district clerk is tab 450.
here's some, I do. Yes, please. And this will be for Fund 450. Let me first start off by,
I don't have the 450 in my notebook.
Department
450, 10,450.
Oh, yeah,
It's up there. Yeah.
Yep.
450.
Okay.
I did submit a letter to the court requesting possibly to rescind a court order that was done back in 2008. And after talking with the county attorney, that court order is very outdated. So there's some things within that court order that need to be corrected before anything happens. First of all, the jurisdiction of how much money is in county court of law. Back then it was $100,000, now it's $250,000. So there's things within this court order that got sent to Commissioner's Court to get approved needs to be reworked along with the local rules. So with that being said, I talked with my staff, and what we're proposing to the court is cutting my budget by $59,000 and keeping those cases in my office. However, in order to do that, they are requesting a pay increase. So where the county clerk is requesting over $100,000 for new employees, I'm going to cut my budget by one position in order to give my employees a raise to do the extra work. So in front of you, you should have that printout of what we're going to save. And after giving the increases to my employees, we're still going to save over $9,000. However, we do passports, and that is the other thing that's come up. That is not a constitutional due within my office. We do that. The money is 100% going into the general fund. My clerks have to be certified to do that. We have to be tested every year. It's a long process. Anybody in the county can do that, but the county clerk's office, because they issue birth certificates. So with that being said, I also contacted other counties, and they give their employees a stipend for being certified. And within that is like, I think they get $30 bi-weekly or something to that extent. That comes again, I showed you what our revenue is at the bottom of that printout. What we do take in, that goes directly into the general fund. And even giving my clerks a stipend for that, we're still saving the county $4,000 in my budget. So that is the only change. I've cut things within my budget, and I'm able to fund those increases for my employees without asking the court for any extra money. And that includes all the roll-ups.
So you're going down one, explain, you're going down one employee.
Before we get to that, the numbers, I want to know the legality of what you're doing here.
What do you mean the legality?
Well, you attached a copy of the court order that was signed by Judge Spencer as the county court of law judge, Judge Abels, and Judge Cole, and it says it's an order. And then I've got an order here from the Commissioner's Court approving that order.
Well,
And
that's
so-
what I'm saying. This is all needs to be reworked by the court. So right now, there's nothing I can do with that because there's a lot of things within this that are not correct as we're doing it right now.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is, how does a district clerk nullify district judges and county court of law judges and commissioner's court?
Well, I don't.
orders?
I have to bring that up to those judges.
So you're asking us to cancel this order?
No, sir.
What are you asking?
I just told you with my budget, I'm going to keep as it is.
Well, I understand what you're doing with the money. Okay, I got that. I just don't know if what you're doing is legal.
I'm not doing anything different.
Well, you say you don't want to do the county court of law filings, which these orders require you to do.
I just said I'm going to do them by eliminating a position
and keeping them to give my staff an increase. I guess
Also,
she
you want to
didn't do
enforce
that
the
part.
order by giving everybody the increase.
Pardon me?
Your view of how you enforce this order is by us paying your staff more money.
That's up to the court.
No, but what she's doing has been done validated previously. She's reducing staff and keeping the workload and paying, and we did it with the previous district clerk, reduced staff, and that money was reallocated to the remaining employees and saved the county money.
Well, why do I feel like that?
Well, it's for a year or two. Eventually, they're gonna probably add, and then you already have those increases.
They really didn't up there. I mean, it was, Linda Eaker was the one that did it at the time, and it was a way for her to increase the pay of her employees. You know, whether to do it again or not, I don't know. But
Like I said,
It
that's
has-
up to the court.
Pardon?
It's up to the court.
So,
But what's moving to the
yeah, what's your
clerk's office?
Under this,
I'm not clear, because she's asking for 2 more people.
right.
Well, she's planning for the contingency that she's gonna have to pick up those responsibilities.
I've included what I report to the OCA every month, and that should give the court exactly what we report. Currently, we have 1,639 cases that are active as of April, the last submission that we sent to the Office of Court Administration. Currently, there's 63 county court at law civil cases. There's 157 family cases, and those family cases are with associate judges as well, which means that is shared between the associated judges and the county court at law judge. Currently, we have 880 active criminal cases, 350 active civil cases, and 224 active family cases that are all strictly within the district courts.
I guess the confusion Mr. Pace has had, and I have to say, is that if the court were to adopt this, then the county clerk does not need additional employees.
No, I just have to go to the administrative judge and make sure that everything is correct in that current order and get it to where right now it shows 100,000. Well, everybody's statutory amounts have changed. We have to get that corrected to 250,000. I think the JP courts went up as well, right, Judge Ragsdale?
20,000.
So it's different. It's the original order. It has different amounts. We just need to get that corrected.
And I guess, can you explain, going back to the court order, was that a function that the county clerk should do, and for some reason it was moved up to the district clerk?
My understanding is, and this is from staff that was in both offices at the time, this was an arrangement that was made between the previous district clerk and the county clerk to move those duties up. For the
duties
numbers,
are-
it was basically to get the numbers up in the district courts so they could get more staff.
But the duties are
County clerk
statutorily
statutory.
county clerk duties?
Correct.
Okay.
But within this order, they were able to get it changed around to go up.
And this is with the district judges and the county court of law judges about this?
Not yet, and that's my next step before I just want this order corrected because it's incorrect.
Okay. I understand what the request is now.
Well, if I understand correctly, if we give your staff pay raises, you'll keep doing these duties, right?
Well, I have to keep doing them no matter what according to this.
Until the orders change.
Correct.
Okay. So, but,
So she's just looking for compensation. Because she needs.
Not for me, for my clerks.
Understood.
Well, I mean, I think this is something, this goes on to the spreadsheet of, the staffing spreadsheet that I requested at the last workshop. And, you know, as part of that mix, it's option A, option B. I mean, I am, would agree with you to look back at the order. Yes, there's a court order, maybe between a different district clerk and a different county clerk. And if the statutory duties of the county clerk, I would have a hard time not agreeing to put them back in the county clerk, if, you know.
And the county clerk's off to do that.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
But adding to
but it costs, but it's a cost. It's always a choice for us to make. And it can go, those duties can go either rework the order to the new limits, make it accurate, and then leave it where it is, or they'll have an order and move it down to the county clerk's office.
I think we understand our choices.
I guess, I mean, to me, it kind of makes sense to leave it where it is because they've been doing it successfully for quite some time. They're trained up, knowledgeable, and they're willing to do it with, I think I heard one less person, as long as they get the increases. That's pretty attractive to me. I think I would ask Ms. Lance to talk to the district judges and get their feel on it. And if they're willing to correct their order, then bring it back to us and we'll talk about it again.
Well, I need to get the order corrected anyways because
Fair enough.
the statute states differently.
The salary increase, what's it going from a 15 to a what?
17 for my deputy clerks, and I believe on the back there's a spreadsheet that shows the difference.
And then my only other question is all of that, what you're proposing, is it in the budget that's been submitted?
I got with Tanya, and yes, it is.
Okay.
Which actually lowers my entire budget in 450.
Understood.
Anything else?
Well, we can follow up with the county clerk and see where she stands with all.
That's fine with me if it stays up there.
So that
And then
eliminates
that
two.
would reduce my budget on those 2 employees then,
Okay,
and that.
the only thing left, well, why don't you go? In simplistic terms, that would eliminate the 2 that you were asking for.
That is
But you'd
correct.
still want to move a part-time to a full-time.
That is correct, yes. I'd like to move a part-time to full-time, and then those other 2 positions could go away.
Anything else for county clerk? Let's move on to Department 402, which is election services.
On the 402, I believe I've reduced it in different sections. Of course, the software maintenance for the election equipment goes up 4% every year. But everything else, I believe, has stayed about the same or went down some.
Any questions on election services?
Yeah, how much longer do we have to continue the capital lease payments?
This is the last year, I believe.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to Fund 12, election services.
I don't believe I changed anything in that.
Let's move on to Department 404, record management.
That no longer exists.
Okay. Scratch that off. In Fund 42, county clerk tech fund.
I have it at 720. I'm not real sure what I need to use that for. It's more investigation, but that should probably be a good amount.
Okay. And then county records preservation, Fund 43.
All of those discussing for Fund 28 and 43, we moved all those expenditures to Fund 41.
Okay, so let's go to Fund 41, Records Archive.
So that has the Fiddler yearly software for the Fiddler program, which is the birth records and land records and that. I believe they're both for Fiddler, the $39,000 and the $16,000, which was what it was this year.
Can you give me an update? I know Jackie Dowdy started it, to digitize all the records. What's the status of that? Has that all been completed or?
I know it's been, some of it's been completed. Do not know if it's all been completed. I'd have to check on that. If they're all, I do know there's some back indexing.
If it's still ongoing, where does that cost land?
I'm not aware. I can't answer.
What was your question? I mean, what does it cost?
Well, if it's still ongoing, maybe it's all complete, I don't know. I know she started an initiative to digitize all of the records.
I think it's ongoing, and pretty much it's an annual using the
I think
budget.
there was a big, front end to that,
Right.
to get everything digitized that was already there.
Right.
So my question is, again, has that been completed,
Okay.
or is it ongoing? It's one thing to maintain digitizing things, but
So they receive money from each case that gets filed, I believe, that has to go into dedicated funds, and the last 3 funds we discussed are dedicated funds. So this fund is used for the preservation. And in this, in just glancing at it, under 41,634, 411, there's still $45,000, $46,000 there to go toward,
sorry,
Which-
that's under tab 41?
and 41.
Which we just got records back, old records that they preserved, and I just got that bill today.
Well, Ms. Alford, I know you've been running as fast as you can trying to get up to speed.
Yes, sir.
But I think this subject would warrant coming back and giving us an updated report as to where we are.
Okay, all right, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I think that taps you out. We're talking to the district clerk. I haven't heard about the Department 434 jury.
The only thing in that department, requesting an increase in our postage, which, as you know, postage went up. So, asked for an extra $1,000 in the postage, and then again with our juror fees, because now, we're required to pay them $60 a day, so those costs went up.
That was up from what?
40. However, we do collect money from the state once we resubmit what we've had for reimbursement. So we get approximately $14,000 to $15,000 back a year. We do that quarterly. We submit to get reimbursed for. Also, on the miscellaneous line, that I just need to clarify that. I know that IT was in here, talking about software budgets. That $4,000 is for the software budget. I have to, every year we constitute the jury wheel, and that's what Tyler charges me to reconstitute the jury wheel in our software, the jury software. So I just left it in that budget because it's countywide. This is countywide jury budget, so.
Okay, any other questions on the jury? Move on, 133, district record management.
That is my dedicated fund for records preservation. Currently, last year I did do some of our old paper vision cases. We're waiting to get the new Navigator up and running in order to get all those old cases uploaded into Odyssey. And hopefully this next year we'll be able to send some of our old criminal cases that we have on on PaperVision to get those uploaded into Odyssey, where we're not running two consecutive softwares.
Any questions?
How long will, I mean, kind of what Mr. Pace has asked on the other one, when will all that be done? How many years are we looking at?
We have a lot of cases,
So it's gonna be multiple,
it wasn't done in the past, it was only put to PaperVision. So now, what we're having is we're having to have people come into my office and use a public computer to use PaperVision because that's not accessible to the public. So I'm trying to get all that where people can access that from their home or wherever on the public website. So you can keep going after me. I mean, I don't have that much money in there, so I have to build up the money.
it's gonna be a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Well, let's move on to Fund 18, County Law Library.
Basically, the books, that's subscriptions for the district judges, county attorney's office, and county court at law judges, and I'm not sure if you're on that as well. Judge Kelly, that is the subscription cost, and then any new books that are required that the court asks me for is in that $650 line item. And the operating equipment, that's the printer that's in the law library that we have to pay where people come in there and print out cases.
Okay, any questions on Law Library? Then I think your last one is the 144 District Clerk Tech Fund.
Again, I just budgeted $1,000. I use that again. Sometimes it depends on the reconstitution of the wheels. I've paid as much as $4,500, so that's kind of my backup. If I go over the $4,000 in my jury plan, I cover it out of my district clerk dedicated fund for tech.
Did you, that software that you purchased last year, did you get that installed? Where's that? What fund did that come out of?
That is my records preservation. Yes.
It's still not.
That's what I'm waiting on with Odyssey, the new version to get uploaded and up and running for the town
That's what
uploaded.
that one was? Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Department 640, Environmental, or 642, Animal Services.
Bill's got a
Judge,
question.
can I go out of order, because I have one item that I want to discuss with you, and then.
Okay, we'll hear you and take a break.
Huh?
We'll hear you and then take a break.
Oh, I love
We're
that.
gonna need the break.
You may need it, yes.
What tab is he?
458.
458.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I made an addition to since I last submitted my stuff, I was probably the only one in the county that was unaware that postage was going to go up twice in a year. It's going up, I think, next month, 4 or 5 cents, and then in a few months, it's going up another 4 or 5 cents. So it's going to be a 10% increase in a year. So I just asked that you kind of boost that up a little bit. We try to get the forever stamps early in the process, as many as we can get, so it'll save us that increase. But we still just need to increase it to be on the safe side, 10% and be done with it.
Increase it above the 1260, 10%?
Yes, sir. I just don't want to be caught short. And have to run, go tell people when they're supposed to be in court.
So we go like 1,400?
1336 is 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1,400 grams that.
Okay.
I think everything else is fine. Appreciate, this has been I sat through this budget process a little bit listening to y'all. this is a very fine process, and I appreciate what you're doing. I've been through a few, 8 of them or more. No, well, I've been through 33 of these, and this has been very good, and I appreciate you for it. Anyway, thank you.
Do we need a break? I see guys nod, that means we need to take a break. Let's be back in, by 10 o'clock. pick up with Department 642, Animal Services.
Good morning, everybody. All right, so I guess I'll start with the new hire special request line item, which is at the top. Well, my sheet here. And you've probably all seen it by now, but so that you understand what I am requesting. This is not an actual new hire, it is an increase in 2 deputies' pay, which is probably the most important thing, in my opinion, that I'm asking for here. This is actually something I mentioned last year, and I think that everybody probably knew that this was something that would be coming, but with the Sheriff's Department's increase for their deputies, what that has done is taken what once was a very desirable position with the same pay that the Sheriff's Department had for their deputies, excuse me. And it's not, well, it's got my guys looking around. And I have 2 deputies that have been with this department for 10 years and coming up on 10 years. So we got two guys that have been here a while that I want to stay here. Both of them started out as animal control officers. They both put themselves through academies to be able to do what they're doing. When I started working here in 2011, the reason that I went with the job which at the time was just environmental health, we didn't have anything to do with animal control at the time. So the reason I did that was because the pay was the same, or it was very close. And I went ahead and stayed where I was, and I had some other opportunities to leave. I did not pursue going to the Sheriff's Department here at the time because I was happy and I liked it, and I do like it. They like it. This is a specialized type of law enforcement that you don't become proficient in any of this for a while, and basically just not asking for more, just asking for the same is basically what I'm getting at here. I don't know that anybody would go anywhere, but I suspect it's highly likely. And I feel like the law enforcement, the Texas peace officers of the department are the backbone of my department, because if they're not there, a lot of things change. And I don't even know, it would be extremely difficult to have somebody leave. That can happen anytime, but this would help. This would be a big, big help.
May I say something in favor of this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Reagan's office has been so wonderful. When our constable is out or any other constable is out, his office is always there. Someone from his office is always there filling in for us as bailiffs. So just wanted to let you know that.
I'll second
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's constant. I mean, we have stuff, I'm not complaining about it. But we cover, we're under the precinct 2 constable, but, my guys, myself, we'll be in court if somebody needs something, or one of the constables going out of town. These guys handle it, we go and we take care of it. There's a lot of court stuff we do, whenever Constable Gonzalez is out of town or if he's doing some, we cover it. So, yes, these are all things that the guys do, and they do it a lot. I listed out, a whole bunch of things. I mean, different specializations, animal control, the environmental health, helping with the OSF things, illegal burning, you name it. There's a whole lot of stuff that these guys do, and I want them to get paid the same. I think I've made my point. But if you guys have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. That increase also, and I'm not sure, because you sent, Ilda sent me some paperwork. Whenever I input those numbers in there, that means I didn't consider the roll-ups and all that.
So
So,
roll-ups are in his budget, in his letter, he didn't include that.
so yeah,
The roll-ups are not in this budget?
The roll-ups are in his budget.
she fixed it for me. I'm just not sure the number I'm seeing here is the same as.
Yes, the number here is the same that's in there.
Okay. All right, so another thing that I wanted to request too, and this is a kind of a consideration thing that's probably gonna end up having to go to a regular report. But I wanted to consider, I got with HR and we looked at regular part-time employees. Not temporary part-time, but regular part-time. We looked at where they're at, how many we have, and as you know, my department has 2 regular part-time employees. And I wanted to examine or consider if it's possible to have them go onto a step and grade. I have somebody, again, this is a long-term employee, been there almost 10 years. They started out as full-time, and they went to part-time, I guess probably 7 or 8 years ago. So they've actually been part-time with this department for the majority of that. They're actually at a 14-2 pay grade, because that's what they were whenever they went from full-time to part-time. So they kept that pay. But the way it is right now, whatever they start out at, which for kennel techs is a 14, they basically start out at what a starting kennel tech would be forever. So could be here for 10 years, you're still making what a starting kennel tech would be making. So basically what I'm just looking at here is, and I tried to kind of budget for that, because if this is something that is okay to do, then this person's gonna actually bump up a couple of steps, because they've been here so long. But they haven't gotten any kind of a pay increase. Well, they do whenever everybody else gets one, but they don't ever go to a different step. And they're doing the same work, they're just not here as much. They work at, their max hours, 29 a week. So that's just something, like I say, I'll probably have to, I guess, come back to court and see if that's something we can do, because I don't know.
I think probably, I think it can be handled through the budget process. I don't need anything forward, but it'd be a separate line item to increase the salary of a part-time employee. I'm looking at audit for a little bit.
Is it, just for clarification, is it, they don't receive the 2.5%?
They do.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
they receive that?
They receive that, but
So
I'm just looking
their
at.
steps are going up.
No, we don't receive that. They receive the, property taxes, so 5% is what we get. But they don't get any tax.
They don't, every 3 years.
They don't get a,
So it's all the wage adjustment.
The wage adjustment.
And that may,
It's not a COLA.
that may need to be a change in policy.
Yeah, that was what I was going to mention. It may have to look at that, because there's nothing in there. It mentions, I think I have to go back and look at it. It doesn't really.
Ray, I'd recommend you get with Sylvia and have her do look at the policy. You see, it's a policy adjustment. So that sounds like what it is.
We need to get back onto our whole second grade
Yeah.
evaluation and decide what we're going to do.
Okay. I'll give it Sylvia Ray and see
Okay.
how to best handle that. But I agree with you.
I mean, he's been here a while, and it'd be nice to see him move along with everybody else. And then also, there was a I'll get to that in a minute, the capital element. So I had an increase in our office supplies line item. And I want you guys to keep in mind too, there's some increases here that, because I don't know exactly when we're possibly going to get in this new building, this new facility. So I know that when that happens, we're going to have to get some off, and we're going to have to get a little some more stuff.
I mean, I think that,
We know it's not gonna be very soon.
Right.
well, but it'll be during the budget year.
Right.
Yeah. I think construction will start before, yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know when, but I think that building's pretty simple. It's 2 metal buildings. I think they'll probably start construction before the end of this year. And I can't imagine it's gonna take over a year to build.
So what kind of stuff is Reagan referring to that's not covered under the?
Well, there's a lot, but I mean, there's something, I mean, furniture, I mean, there's everything furniture, there's all kinds of that stuff which we have to address at some point.
Right, that's
But-
not really.
That's not in here, but I think his budget, and that's what I kind of, we talked about this, is based on his current building.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand whether the funds that, the taxpayers approve cover things like new furniture for the new building.
No.
They do not.
No, they cover a building.
Yes.
Usually, there's some interest earned on the funds, and that's used to offset some of that cost. There's gonna be, stationery, I mean, all kinds of incidental costs that we normally maintain budget amendments here. We just don't know the timing exactly. We should know that before the end of this month. A lot more details, because we're getting the final drawings are about done. There is some unknown in his budget, but I think any changes like that will be carried or handled by contingency at that time during the year if needed.
I think the only guidance we can give you, Reagan, is plan the best you can.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, I decreased, or I'm sorry, let's see here. I increased a little bit in the animal microchips line item because we actually, in going from a computer program that we paid for, which we're not, now we've gone to a new, one that we're not having to pay a yearly fee on. The microchips, though, are a little bit more expensive because the microchips that we have to use with this program just cost us a little bit more. So we're getting a lot of, we may not even have to use that. It just depends on how many KPA, how much they end up doing with microchips. But I went ahead and increased that a bit. Operating expense increased. And some of that is because I don't know exactly, what we could possibly be looking at if we move to the new building next summer or whenever, if it's in this next budget. Also, everything is just more expensive to operate, period. We've had some issues so far this year. We're already, we've exhausted our operating expense. So I'm just trying to plan. We haven't done anything special. It's just, it just, we ran through it. The lease copier, I'm sorry, our utilities, they are, we'll probably make it through this year without having to move money from somewhere, but that's something too that looking at if we're getting in a new building, I have no idea what some of those bills are going to look like as far as electric and all that stuff. I did go down on the vehicle gas, oil, and maintenance a little bit because we have 5. I think we have 5 enterprise fleet vehicles. So these are some newer vehicles. They're 2022s, 2024s. So with our enterprise maintenance packages and stuff, which I know y'all got into the other day with the sheriff's department, same thing with us. So we're paying a fee for the maintenance, but that's something we're not having to pay for every time we go, get our oil changed and things like that. We do still have some older vehicles, but, hopefully we don't have anything major that has to be fixed. On here, I've got lease copier. That actually doubled because we're probably going to be looking at, and this still depends, but we may have to have 2 copiers. And I really need to go and kind of shop around and see what kind of deals we can get, because I haven't done that in a while. But looking at it, we're going to need, some sort of a new copier for the main office. Like right now, when I need to print something, we just print it. We can't make copies. You got to go all the way to the front, of the building, and it's just kind of a pain. But they have to have that there. Ideally, we would want to have one where everybody else is, and nobody's having to walk across the building to go use it. But that's why I increased that, because now there is a possibility with that we could still stick to one and just try to find some sort of other method to do this. There's a lot of copies that have to be made in our department. I increased our so going back to y'all's conversation the other day with the sheriff's department in here, vehicle lease payments has let's see, is that the right one? Yes. That one has gone up because these things are moving from capital outlay into the vehicle lease payments line item. So you're not going to see that in capital outlay anymore, because these vehicles are here. We've got them, and so they're paid for out of that line item now. So that's why you see pretty drastic increase there. Immunizations and medicine, I think I went up in that just a little bit. Just that stuff's expensive. There's things we really need to have. We get some of it donated to us, but we also need to have the ability to purchase some of that. Operating.
Back up one, that site cleanup.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that a little bit?
So, I know it says current budget 14,000. Is that what you're seeing there too?
Yeah.
Because that was actually, well, I don't really understand, because I think we started out with 20. I think because I moved some money out of there to help with some of our operating expense, and I think that's why it's showing 14 right there. We had 20 though to start. I'm almost 100% positive that this we had 20,000 in there.
Okay.
So I'm not asking for more in that one. Like if that's correct, I'm pretty sure it is. But I'm just 20. And to be honest with you, I don't know if that's. I mean, we could ask for a lot more than that, but it's just everything right now, even getting someone out to abate a piece of property, and make it, clean it up, is just sky high as what it, opposed to what it used to be. I mean, almost double, triple the price to get that labor.
Basically, your 20,000 is to clean up one site.
Yeah, or two very, very minor issues. But if you've got with some of these,
the place down in Center Point behind that storage.
what was the cost? Gosh, that was.
We got an expense for the 21-22 year for $26,627, and it was during that year, so I'm not sure if all of that was used for that or not. But
Yeah, I feel like, because see, we have not only is it a cleanup, but then you got the dump fees as well. So, and that may be, I wanted to say it was 30-something thousand, but it may have been that 20.
That Center Point project?
Yeah.
Which was a great success, and I'm very appreciative. I'm just trying to understand whether you're allowing enough money in the budget to actually do another one of those, or do you have specific properties in mind that won't take anywhere near that much?
No,
I mean,
the main properties.
Disaster.
Well, the main properties that we have in mind are we can't even clean up. We're going to have to hope that somebody's going to come along, a family member. We have one, for instance, that's out in Ingram Hills area that has been a problem for years. we do not have even close to the budget to be able, when we're talking about cars, junk, I mean, it looks like another planet. And that individual recently passed away, so now there's some possibilities there. But the amount of money that it was going to take to clean that place up, we just don't have it. Now, I also want to look, I think that there's possibility, because I'm on an ACOG committee that kind of looks at solid waste type stuff, and it's the resource recovery committee, and sometimes things pop up that's like, I wonder what we could do there, possibilities of grants and things like that. But those are all things that, I need to look into, but hopefully, we could get something done with that. So that's why I asked for the 20, because we used to get 6,000 to 8,000, I believe, each year, but you could actually do something at that time with that. Now it's just, and then operating equipment, I did go up in that because we need to get some new dog traps, which are, they're about 600. I believe the ones the good ones, like they're not cheap, but they'll actually last for probably 5, 6, 7 years or longer. It just depends on the wear and tear. So I need to get a couple more of those that replace the ones that we have now. You can only fix them so many times once they start getting damaged. And then a capital outlay item, it's actually multiple items, but basically it's a watch guard camera system. And I know I've asked for these in the past, like generally, I'm not sure how the sheriff's department's doing now, if they get them with the vehicles or how that goes, and if they pay for it through their lease. But I've never done that, so I basically, we switch equipment, which is not always the best thing. You end up with old equipment on your vehicles that you've switched multiple times from vehicle to vehicle. The cameras, for many years, whenever I first started here, we were running the DVD ones that would record the DVD to the disc. Now everything is going to, it's digital, or it downloads to a USB drive. And then there's also equipment that you can actually pull up to the sheriff's department or here at the courthouse, and it will download your in-car video to the server without you having to take anything out of your vehicle. So one of those items is a watch guard camera system. One of those items is the device that allows you to transmit, which I do not need for all vehicles, but myself and the 2 other deputies that work with me are all, we're using the same system as the sheriff's department. So we can download our video and our body cameras to that same deal. I just want to be able, I have one in my vehicle. We have 2 right now. I need a 3rd one so that he can download like that. And then also 3 docking stations for our vehicles, because, and I don't have it with me right now, but our body cameras, in order for those to actually sync together with your in-car video, you have to have a docking station in your vehicle. Basically, you put it in there, it's a cradle. You can charge it from the vehicle, but also it will sync that with your video in your car, as opposed to on my body camera, it's a completely different video. Like it syncs them all together. So there's 3 of those because we don't have any of those either. I don't need those, like I say, I don't need it for all the vehicles, but just for the 3 deputy vehicles, so that we can do that. The other cameras that we're using are actual watch guard cameras. These are Motorola cameras. So I was hoping to get that as well. And I think that's about it.
Go back to the beginning.
Yes.
On the salary increases adjustment. A couple of them was like right at $11,000. I made a blanket statement the other day. There's no individual department or what have you that I didn't have an appetite for it this year. So it seems like we're getting inundated with people want the salary adjustment. So it's not just,
I know.
but speaking of your guys,
Yes.
this would get them up with what the sheriff, do they do the same type training? Are they on call nights and weekends and that kind of stuff?
Well, yes. So Texas peace officers, this is not, I'm not asking for this for me.
I know.
And so this is for these two guys.
Hey, you're the leader of the department.
And so, yes, Texas peace officers, they've been through academies. We go through this, we have to have the same training that everybody that works for the police department, the sheriff's department gets every 2 years, 40 hours. On top of that, as deputy constables, we also have to take 20 hours of civil process every 4 years. So you have to do all that. It's the same stuff. I mean, we're doing the same training. We go to these alert trainings. We're training with these guys. Schools. We have a situation where we have any kind of, God forbid, school shooting. We're all doing this training. There's not anything that is really that different, except for my guys are taking different calls through the day. They're not necessarily getting the immediate call to go out and, hey, we got to, whatever it may be. And there's plenty of them that are. It's just our call's a little bit different, but these guys will respond if they're close. Somebody needs help on a traffic stop, whatever's going on, my guys are there. We're all willing to help out wherever's needed. The training is the same. And these guys wear a lot of hats. I mean, they really do. I've always said, these guys, because in our unique department, which Environmental Health and Animal Services, my guys, they kind of come to work each day with the intent on, okay, I'm mainly doing environmental stuff. Like, that's just kind of the way, that's the way I used to do whenever I was doing just those things that they're doing. But I would show up to work and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start my day, and like my goal is like I'm environmental, like I'm gonna, do follow-ups, look at different properties, see what kind of violations we got. And then all of a sudden your whole day then becomes some animal cruelty or, an overturned 18-wheeler full of cattle, or, these guys may call us and they need some assistance somewhere. And they go, they help, they write citations whenever you all leave. The only difference is, just the types of calls, but it's all the same type of stuff. My guys are always willing to help out where needed. So to answer your question, yes, all the training is the same. But
Any other questions for Rick? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Department 640, Environmental Health.
Good morning, everyone.
Proceed.
Okay. So I guess we'll start at the very top, the request for increases. So right now, we have a very outstanding department that I've never seen. I mean, we've always had good employees, but we have some pretty outstanding employees at this moment in time. And just want to take a brief moment to kind of describe a few of them. But my administrative assistant, he's got a master's in environmental science, very analytical thinker and able to approach problems and tasks with careful and critical thought. Continues to validate data to ensure accuracy. Has really helped our department in many ways with improving with our reports. Also
this individual wants to grow in our department and eventually become a licensed DR. And so we're doing some cross-training and taking them out on inspections, so that way this individual can hopefully increase and grow with our department. My data clerk, she was a professional contractor for the City of Houston demolition of dangerous buildings for 20 years, maintaining hearings and issuing liens and legal notices for them. She has very much helped us improve our database and transitioning to the cloud version. And with her knowledge and wearing multiple hats and being an owner of multiple businesses and manufacturing computers, education, and the food industry has really helped vamp up our database and some of the daily methods of operations that we do. And then my other employee, who is a designated rep, very loyal employee, has been with our department, or been with the county for 8 years and our department for 7, has really grown in the industry. Right now, like the state of Texas, TCQ is in the process of revamping the TAC 285, and they have come to us asking for our county's input because of our expertise and having experience in the field for such a long period of time. This person also integrates all phases of the regulations that we are responsible for in their daily work, in the fellow employee training and communications. So I'm asking for a small increase for each employee, 2.5%. And if you would, I don't know if y'all have a copy of this letter that I wrote and provided to the judge and the auditor and human resource that kind of explains the numbers, showing the numbers of what we're requesting. And also, I am requesting for myself as well a small increase. And kind of going back into the history of things, back in 2019, I had come to the court during the budget requesting for a pay raise at that time because I was grossly underpaid. And the county instead gave me a stipend and for being part of the East Kerr County wastewater project, which was completed this year, and a stipend of about $2,500, which is, I'm no longer receiving, and I understand that it was a stipend that was eventually to go away. But in the meantime, I have been able to become more professionally qualified in my industry. I recently received my registered sanitarian license. And so I am asking for a small increase to help me get to what the industry is paying. I provided some examples of what the industry is paying in other counties. And if you'll see, based on the examples that were provided, I'm still asking very low amounts compared to what the industry is paying. So the industry, as you will see in the numbers here, and the letter, and the increase that I'm asking for. Still under, but to me, I feel like it's a comparable amount and not asking for a whole lot. And the roll-ups were provided as well in that.
And you and I have talked about your vehicle needs. You want
Me to jump all the way down to that?
to? Well,
Or do
that
you want
looks like the main one.
Yes, that is the main one, but before we get there, can I kind of address a few
Sure.
other things?
Yep.
Thank you.
You stopped, so I thought.
Okay, I just thought you might have some questions. Overall, we're just kind of keeping our budget the same as far as the expenditures go. The one difference that we are doing is for our vehicle gas oil maintenance, we have a budgeted line item of, well, our current budget was $12,000, and we're reducing that to $5,000, but we're asking for vehicle repair, which is line item 645 for 454, excuse me, vehicle repairs. We're asking to move some of that money into that line item, and I think that would help us better in the future, keep record of what we're spending on vehicle repairs. Our current vehicles that we have two Ford F-150s or a 2008. And this will kind of go into what I'm requesting for the big ticket item for the capital outlay is we're asking for a new truck because my Ford F-150, back in April, as I was driving to an inspection, it started overheating and left me stranded on the Highway of 87 just north of Comfort. And thankfully, my partner next to me was able to come help me out and rescue me and got the tow truck and got into the mechanic shop. Well, the mechanics of some of these parts that, because of being in 2008, the manufacturer is no longer manufacturing these parts. They're having to go to aftermarket, and so they're having difficulties finding parts to repair these trucks. And after I had picked up the truck from the mechanic, it had to go back into the shop 2 other times. So it went into the shop 3 times because the radiator was overheating. So we've spent probably well over $7,000 alone this year on just vehicle repairs. And so and this is not the first year that we've spent a significant amount of repairs for these trucks. But over the course of history, since I've been here, we've been spending anywhere between about $5,000 or $6,000 annually. And so I think we're just keep spending more and more money on repairs that it's about time that we need to upgrade at least one of the vehicles. And so we're looking into getting a Chevy Colorado, which is a smaller truck than what we currently have. It might be better on fuel, a little more fuel efficient, and particularly we would need something with four-wheel drive. And so I did receive a quote, and I know we talked about that, Dawn Harris, about possibly giving our truck to the county and taking that Tahoe that sits out there and is just rotting away and using it as a trade vehicle. And I don't know if that's something that y'all might be interested in, because as far as my truck goes, the aesthetics of it is we take good care of our vehicles. And so keeping up with the maintenance and stuff. So it is in better condition as far as looks go than that Tahoe, but with the radiator problems, I'm not sure if it's efficient for people to be driving long distances. So I don't drive it whenever we go to conferences. I usually take my personal vehicle because, well, I just don't trust it. And one other thing that is not actually reflected correctly on here is the vehicle insurance. I heard that that was going up by 20%, and that currently says $625, and I believe it should be at $950. And the other reason why I brought my partner here with me is because we're trying to cross-train, and so in the event if something was to happen, you know, we would have this individual step up to the plate, you know, training and leadership as well. So. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Well, actually, I congratulate you on getting your registered professional sanitarian license.
Thank you.
That was a significant accomplishment.
I'd like to add that she's one of the highly sought out DRs in the industry at TOA and other national boards that deal with wastewater. We do get calls from other organizations requesting to speak with her as far as how the programs being run around. So she's very talented and experienced individual.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. May we be adjourned?
Yes, yes. We've got a couple of JPs here. Let's go ahead and take JP 455 first. Are we going to do it together?
I'll stand it there behind her.
Okay, we're partnering together.
Yeah, I know Carl asking.
I'll just go into just my personal budget real quick and let you know what I'm requesting. So we tried your administrative recommended budget last year, and we scraped by. we did okay, but we scraped by, but we had to finagle some things around in order to make it work. What I'm requesting this year is just to go back to my 2022 approved budget, and I did have to make a few small adjustments to that, and that would be postage. In 2022 was a 450. Postage has continued to go up. I have 600 for postage budget, and then the only other thing that I increased, I think, from 2022 was the lease copier, which was at 2,100, and under our new contract, we are actually 500 copies less than we were under our old contract, and we have had a couple of months where our copies have gone over slightly. I just put that in there to be a cushion in case of an overage, and those are the only changes that I have made, again, going back to the 2022 approved budget.
Well, I don't see much wiggle room.
Not a lot.
Any questions? Okay.
So just let me clarify here, so you're converting a part-time individual into a full-time?
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, well,
They're doing it short.
Yeah, they're tag
We're tag team. And as for my budget itself, nothing has changed from last year.
So they split the cost.
That's right.
Okay, so now, I guess what we're getting on is, I'll let Judge French start first, about the letters that we gave out to each of you.
okay, so 2 years ago, the Commissioners Court was very gracious to approve for us a part-time position. At that time, we were constantly in a situation where our clerks cover for each other, and we were asking for a shared part-timer that would have very basic responsibilities of just being in each other's offices for a shared part-time hours, 14 to 14 and a half hours a week. They would do data entry, copies, and just light office work, and cover to be there to answer the phones when our clerks were out. That position has been very difficult to keep filled. It's very difficult to keep the level of responsibility that we're asking with that position covered, moving from the two offices. And in the meantime, we're getting more and more lots of debt claims being filed in our offices. So we're in a position where we could stand to have somebody in our offices that could be cross-trained, have more responsibilities put on them, and we really need for the position to require more of the person. We want to be able to hire somebody who could be a well-tenured employee and be somebody that wants to serve in the county in a full-time capacity. And that's what we're asking. We're asking to make the part-time position a full-time position with added responsibilities, and have this person float between the two offices 20 hours each week.
We can't keep a part-time person. We've had one listed on the Human Resources site now for the last 3 or 4 months. Nobody's interested in it, and when they do come and we hire them, they stay a couple of months, find a full-time job, and then they leave after we train them. Our offices are being closed, our clerks need vacations, they need to go to school, and then we're getting complaints. Even though we'll leave a sign on Judge French's door, go down to JP3's office, we'll help you. There's only certain things that we can do for each office. We can't do everything for each office. And not only with this full-time person in my office, when I have them, the other JPs have collection agencies. I don't. I like to know what goes out of my office. Those collection agencies charge 30%. So I would like to, I think that this person, when they're in my office, they would do the work also, like Judge French said, helping out with everything that our clerks are doing with all the debt claims and everything that we're getting, but also for some collections without deducting that 30%.
We would like for this person to be fully cross-trained to when one of our full-time clerks is out, they can resume the role outside of supervising and monthly reports and purchasing.
Instead of just answering the phone, taking a name, and then having our clerks, when they come back, having to do all that. We get so many phone calls all the time about, well, let me talk to another clerk. Well, we don't have another clerk in our office. And I know y'all are getting inundated. We've been listening with everybody, all these requests and everything, but it's been 17 years that I've been doing this job. And I've had the one clerk. And in that 17 years, just like with every department, that workload has increased. And I still have the one clerk.
And I believe that Judge Mitchell and I have both been very budget conscious about how we approach this from the beginning. We're 2 years in, testing the waters with the part-time shared employee. We're still fine-tuning the employee. We just want a more reliable and employee with more responsibilities, and somebody that's willing to step up to that task and that has the maturity to be able to go from this office to this office, keeping each other's loyalties and you know, that's difficult. It's a lot of responsibility to ask for a part-time.
So walk you through the kind of the logistics. How does this work when you share a person? Where do they office? Do they move back and forth?
Yes, sir.
How does it work?
So when they're in my office, they're under my clerk and my supervision. And when they're in Kathy's office, they're solely under her clerk and her clerk's supervision. And what is expected of them in this office may not be exactly the same as what's expected of them in that office.
So, I mean, do you have two
desks?
Do you each have a desk that's available?
Yes, yes. And our clerks work out the schedule to where it's divided.
Next question.
Yeah,
Our clerks are their direct, this person's direct supervisor.
would be every other day, a week at a time, or?
It would be, well,
I don't see.
if we get, the way it has been, with the part-timer, was 2 days in one office and 2 days in the other office, and then there's 1 day they're not there at all. This would be probably 2.5 and 2.5.
And like when our clerks are on vacation, right now they feel guilty taking vacation. And so when they're on vacation, like if my clerk takes the week's vacation, they would be in my office that week. And then we would alternate, they would make sure that it's gonna be split evenly. And then that's how our clerks work it out. And they're really good about working together. Our clerks are on making sure that everything is divided equally.
What we have learned having the part-timer is that our two clerks are very good at balancing this. That's not been a problem. They work together. They have to work together when they don't have a clerk there, because they have to figure out how to cover for each other because there's nobody else. So
I did get a list from Human Resources on what it would cost, and I can give that to you if they did not give that to you yet. Did you get a copy from Human Resources?
I don't think you know yet.
You have it,
We've got 50% of it in this budget.
it's 50% on each one, but it should be under JP1 and JP3 under department.
Did you give it to them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like probably what, 50?
It's going to be approximately $24,000 more a year than what the part-time.
Say that again?
Isn't that correct?
Yes, they have the part-time line, but we went ahead and zeroed that out,
Right.
and then moved it up. It's really about
So
13,000.
net, it's about $14,000-$15,000 a year more.
13,000. Yeah.
13?
So you were working the part-time, how many hours a week? On?
well, each of us 14 to 14 and a half.
They're putting in close, just under 30.
Just, right, because we had to keep them at 29.
Right.
I think one of the things that we, as a court, have done forever, not really been parts of it, is that, and it really impacts the small offices. they have they have paid time off, they have time off, and we have no system really to help them. I mean, I don't know how many, maybe my phone was close to theirs. I get a lot of calls, people trying to call the JP. I probably get more calls trying to call the JP than they get calls trying to call me. And, you know, you gotta pass the phone on, but they do get a lot of calls. And all of a sudden, when they're out, inquest or whatever they're doing, and, or in court, and their clerk's on vacation, or sick, or
At school.
there's no one to answer. I mean, it doesn't work.
This last week is a prime example. I was in Austin for JBCA clerk curriculum training, and my clerk was out on vacation, and so everything was forwarded, and then back, and everything's a fire drill.
Yeah. I think this is a reasonable solution rather than hiring 2 employees, one for each office, and they're splitting. So,
I agree.
Okay, anything else?
So is there a higher court that this has to go to when you two judges can't agree?
No, because we agree. We work very well together. I guess we could appeal it to county court of law. Well, we appreciate you at least taking this into consideration. Thank you for your Thank you.
Jen, I skipped over you. You didn't need to be here. Do you want to address the court?
Well, I do.
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't have to, but I did add a new line item for veterans activities. So in the past, I've used my office budget for Memorial Day.
439.
Oh, sorry, 439, I apologize. Thank you, love, for being straight. And good morning, sorry. Which I've been able to do because it was just me and Marty wasn't there, but now that I have Chase and we're doing double of everything, it would just be nice to have our own line item for veteran activities, which would be like Memorial Day, outreach, we're gonna put a benefits fair this year, just activities like that. And then just an increase, $100 for office supplies, and then I just wanted to increase postal because the VA is doing a lot of changes right now. We've been doing a lot of press releases and we've been sending out our emails, but we do just have elderly veterans in the community that just don't see it. So we're trying to do some letters on what's really a big important thing is the VA healthcare system has changed. Where now more veterans are eligible to enroll. And if I go off of my old roster of working, since we had our predecessor, we have about 1,500 to 2,000 names. So those are letters we're trying to create and get sent out, which also gives us the opportunity to go ahead and introduce us, if they haven't used this since our predecessor, introduce Chase and our new location. So, and that's just, it's gonna cost a lot of money to do that. So don't know how long it'll take us to get everything out, but, so that's why I requested an increase in postage as well. And just as a heads up, I'll be on Commissioner's Court next Monday to request approval for, I had a high school student approach me asking if they could intern for free. And so I already talked to Heather in HR, all I need is y'all's approval. So I'll be on Commissioner's Court on Monday, just for a summer intern. That's it for me unless you have any questions.
That looks good.
Thank you, appreciate it. Happy Monday.
Okay. We got Fund 26, JP Tech Fund. We got anything going on there?
That's not a whole lot, JP.
Same as last year's budget.
These are, I think it's $200 less because they didn't have as much money.
What's the problem? What do they do with that money?
They've gone to conferences, they could use it for any technology item. I guess it would be whatever the regs say, and I don't know them
It's
on the top
another
of my
dedicated.
head.
We have no choice.
It looks like the same,
Okay.
5,200 to 5,200.
Okay. Fund 13.
Yes, this is for the JP Court Building Security. Again, they get a small amount each year that is based, I think, on the cases that they're hearing. And the fund has built up to where they could make up to $10,700 in improvements if they need it.
Okay. 179, opioid settlement.
Yes, this is the fund, again, it's from the legal settlement proceeds. We get so much each year. The total amount that we're supposed to receive is $315,000, and so this just trues up all of that.
Does, that has to be used for certain purposes.
Right.
It does.
Is there any, so if I just out there.
Where's that stuff?
How much money do you have in this fund?
I'm sorry?
How much money do you have in it?
It will eventually be $315,000. Right now, it's about 230. Just a second. It's about 82,000 right now.
But we're not spending any of it this year?
We have not spent any of it since we've started receiving it.
Well, this does not fall into your jurisdiction, but I'd like to take a look at maybe using some of that money for our special court. Drug court.
Yeah.
We need to use it somewhere, so.
Yeah. That's
good earmark.
Surely that qualifies.
You would think.
You don't think so?
I do not know. I would have to go back and read the
Oh, no, I
report.
understand you do it. I'm just not talking about us. We need to look into what we can.
But that's only a small piece of the total.
Yeah, that's what
We just
we're,
need to look at.
you know, is there any kind of treatment that's being done at the jail that would qualify, that we're paying as medical right now? I mean, there's probably areas that could be looked at on what we're already doing.
Some of it, NAPD. But that's not something for you to look into, but something to do as a court. We need probably task someone to give us a briefing on what we can't spend it on. It's $250,000 sitting there, but we're not using it. And this year, we'll use that $250,000. Okay, and then last one is the jail bond. There is?
Yeah. The next, if it's easier, you may want to go to your summary sheet. We can go to each individual one of these, but these are all the loans or notes for next year that we'll be making.
Okay.
Skip John and go on to the next one.
We're going to the summary at the beginning.
On the summary,
And I think that's a good suggestion. And if we look in there, we'll see how it has the funds in it.
Good.
See, look at that opioid, it's right there, remember, just notes out at you. So jail bond,
it's,
161.
yes. So again, we're estimating we're gonna need about 1.2 million in tax revenues, property tax revenues to cover the 1.2 million basically in expenses that we're estimating next year. That will be the principal, interest, and the service fees that are charged by the people that hold the money or taking care of the notes rather. 62 is kind of the same way. It's a little bit different. We need 510 to cover, I believe there's 3 notes that are in this fund, but we do receive some monies from the people that are signed up with Kendall County wastewater, I believe. So they're paying fees into that, and we do receive, I believe it's $2 from that. Jonathan, does that sound right? Is it more than that? Okay, so at least $2.
$20.
Oh, okay. And then we'll need 642 roughly to make the payments. For the Fund 64 is the 23 limited tax bonds. Estimated property tax revenues, 447,000. Expenditures, 417,000. The tax notes, this is from 21 and 23. We're going to need about 725,000, and we're going to be spending about 800,000. And then the refunding bonds, we will need 600,000, and we're looking to spend about 605. And all of that may be adjusted. We're looking at dollars only, so whenever it comes in later, when we know more about what the property taxes are going to be, it may look just a little different, but the expenditures are locked in.
It's basically just a true up that we bring back.
Yes.
And I think does that do us?
One more is 63, just because it is a little bit different. This is the debt that they had under the HOA subdivision road district. I don't know what the proper terminology is there, but basically they're still making payments on that debt. And so we do end up setting property tax rates for the people in that subdivision. So this fund covers theirs. So we're estimating we need about $21,800 in tax revenues, and we'll be spending about $22,900 of that to make the payments on the note.
Okay, question, and you may not know, Penny, this may be a question more for Tom Burger, but on the East Kerr project, we have excess funds there, we do have some debt. Can we use, how do we find out what portion of the unused amount we can use to pay off that $510,000?
It's a great question. I put it into motion, I believe, and not actually going further, but kind of ask the same thing. We'll start with Dusty Traeger. We'll start talking to TWDB, but we've got to finish the project, is my understanding, before we can look at that, just to make sure. So you may see that more coming out later on as we get closer to being finished, or we decide whether there's going to be a project for phase 4.
Right, so a little bit of that. So,
And I've asked Tetra Tech to prepare a summary along the grant works for the court, so we can look at all the different phases that we've approved and where we're at, the works on. But they're gonna also come with a proposal to do a phase 4.
right. Good to buy people up.
Part of it is to look at the funding aspects and answer some of the questions that you're raising. That was very important.
Okay. Anything else for this budget workshop? We have another workshop on Thursday,
Yes.
Yes.
9 o'clock. And with that, we stand adjourned.